Welcome back to Movies TV Man. Of course, you can follow me on Twitter at Movies TV Man, and welcome to Friday's edition of the Doctor Who Daily. Tech Tae-yoon is the Doctor? ? This has actually been my underlining theory ever since I saw The Timeless Children, was it last year or the year before, or whenever it was, in the season 12 finale. I thought, she's not the Timeless Child. It doesn't make sense for her to be the Timeless Child. The Timeless Child is a thing, obviously, but I don't think the Timeless Child is the Doctor. So either the Master misunderstood it, maybe the Division corrupted the Matrix, so whoever saw it would see that. And it'll be interesting to kind of find out who and what the Division are. We know that they're getting people to work for them, then, frying their minds and, erasing their memories. That if the Doctor is Tech Tae-yoon, there will be good reason. Now, this is interesting, right? Because it makes more sense to me for the Doctor to be Tech Tae-yoon than the Timeless Child. Think about it. When the Master is describing Tech Tae-yoon, when the Doctor's in the Matrix, he calls her an explorer, a traveller. The Doctor is basically an explorer and a traveller. It still means that Tech Tae-yoon has to be a pre-Hartnell regeneration, unless she's not. Now, maybe she could be the Doctor that everyone thinks Jo Martin is, between Patrick Troughton and Jon Pertwee. Maybe she could be there, which means there will be no pre-Hartnell Doctor, which would make people a little bit happier. But it's unlikely, it doesn't make sense, and so I'm not going with that. But I am going with definitely the Doctor being Tech Tae-yoon and not the Timeless Child. I like this theory, I really do, and I'm a big fan of Philip Hawkins' YouTube channel, and he was talking about this theory quickly. He didn't go into any detail, but we will here today on the Doctor Who Daily. I tell you why I like it, and I know most of you are going to hate it, and you wish that none of this storyline ever happened, and I get that, and I respect you for that. But to give it to Chibnall, he's literally grabbed every Doctor Who fan by the crutch and said, I'm doing this. And it's a brave thing to do, it's a stupid thing to do, but it's also a very, very brave thing to do, because you're literally changing the Doctor's backstory. First of all, Tech Tae-yoon is more than likely a pre-Hartnell version of the Doctor, right? But Tech Tae-yoon has a name. Now, I'd love to know what kind of name Tech Tae-yoon is. If anyone can translate those letters, those words for me, and tell me what they actually mean, I think you'll probably find that they may mean Doctor in some form, but who knows? So Tech Tae-yoon, which is an interesting name, by the way. So this woman is exploring, then she finds the Timeless Child and discovers that this child can regenerate her whole body. So she steals that element, doesn't steal, the Doctor can still regenerate, but she steals her DNA and she creates the Time Lord Society. So how would we feel about the Doctor being Tech Tae-yoon and creating Time Lord Society, but not just by that, but by killing someone over and over again to steal that ability? So, and obviously the Doctor wouldn't remember any of this. I think this will be a very compelling thing. I don't think it's a deep dive if we look at the Doctor we've known all this time, pre the Timeless Children thing, to look at the first Doctor, William Hartnell, and say, would he be capable of this? Would the character we first meet in 1963, would this character be capable of something kind of dark? And yes, you look at William Hartnell's original Doctor. There's one early scene when he's about to hit someone over the head, and I forgot. I think is it the first episode, second, third, whatever it is, right? He's a very different Doctor to the Doctor. I mean, you look at his Doctor and Peter Davison's Doctor, very different Doctors, very different to Tom Baker, very jovial Tom Baker, and even Patrick Troughton. Jon Pertwee's a little bit more, but he's still not as dark as Bill Hartnell's Doctor. So if you look at Bill Hartnell's Doctor, I can see lots of comparisons and analogies to Tech Tae-yoon. So yes, I think it's more realistic and more believable that the doctor is actually Tek Tae-yoon. So why do I like this? Well, think about this. If the doctor's Tek Tae-yoon, ever since Bill Hartnell, the doctor has been on a redemption arc. I like that. The doctor did something very, very dark. So dark, she ran away from her creation of the Time Lords because she realised what she did was a bad thing, not only morally to the timeless child, but creating the society was wrong in the first place. A society that just observes and doesn't interfere isn't fit for purpose, right? So Tek Tae-yoon did this and she's ashamed. So she regenerates into Hartnell, grabs her granddaughter Susan and runs away to explore. She gets away from the problem that she's created. And so I think that's what the timeless child is. Now, by making the doctor Tek Tae-yoon and not the timeless child, what you do is I think it's less of a problem if the doctor's Tek Tae-yoon. And I know people are going to hate it because the doctor has done something so unheroic. But loads of heroes begin in darkness. Loads of heroes, do one bad thing and then they redeem themselves. I mean, you can never redeem anyone for doing what Tek Tae-yoon did to the timeless child. But at the end of the day, right, the doctor, everything the doctor does is an act of redemption. Now, here's the thing. When was the doctor's mind wiped of all this information? Working for the division, maybe, potentially being Tek Tae-yoon or the timeless child. All this has been taken from the doctor's mind. Now, what we have to find out is, and we will find out by the end of Doctor Who Flux, I'm assuming, is when the doctor's memory was wiped. The memory would have had to have been wiped pre-Hartnell, right? Maybe so. Just before, basically, maybe the invasive procedure of wiping the doctor's mind maybe killed Tek Tae-yoon's doctor and had to regenerate into Bill Hartnell's doctor. That would be very interesting. So the doctor obviously doesn't know that she was once Tek Tae-yoon, and this hasn't. And remember this, Jodie Whittaker's 13th Doctor, she's never considered this. She saw what she saw in the Matrix, she believes it. She saw the division in the Matrix, she saw the timeless child in the Matrix. She's taken the Master's word for it that she is the timeless child. So I still believe that Vinda and Bel are the parents of the timeless child rather than the Doctor, which was my opening theory when we reviewed Once Upon Time on Monday. But now, kind of thinking about this, all because Philip Hawkins mentioned it on his YouTube video, but it reminded me that this was my opening endearing theory. Maybe not endearing to a lot of people, but I think this is the best option. This is, you've got a selection of choices, and I think this is the best choice out of a bunch of bad choices. And as I say, this is Chibnall's vision. And I think if you're going to make a big statement about the Doctor, making the Doctor Tek Tae-yoon will be very compelling. Because how does the Doctor deal with this? Now that the Doctor's remembering things, being forced into the Matrix has shot her mind. It's opening up her mind, because the division ain't wiping her mind anymore. The division it doesn't seem to be that the division have access to the Doctor. Maybe the division isn't there anymore. It's interesting. It really is interesting what's going on. So clearly there probably isn't a division anymore. I'd like there to be. Maybe that's something that can work in the future, that the division is still chasing after the Doctor. That would be an interesting facet to use in future Doctor Who. I don't think they'll do it because each showrunner wants to do their own things, but it'd be interesting. So I don't think we are going to retcon this. A lot of people want the Timeless Child thing retcon. They're not going to do that. The BBC backed everything RTD did, everything Moffat did. And Moffat, if you're going to retcon anything, you retcon Hell Bent. And they never did that because it was his vision. And he's a strong visionary, and that's what he wanted to do. So they're not retconning, the Timeless Children. I know a lot of people were hoping for that. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but it just doesn't look like it. So yeah, I think more than likely the Doctor is Tek Tae-yoon. And in terms of Chibnall's thinking, I think this is the kind of thing he would do. Because I think if you're doing something like this, you don't want to make things obvious. And I think Taek Tae-yoon is the least obvious thing that you could do. And I just think, I can just imagine Jodie's doctor finding out, having this big revelation that she's actually Taek Tae-yoon. What does that do to a person? That you created this monstrous act. You grabbed hold of a child and you kept on killing her. And the only reason you can regenerate is because you stole the DNA genetic code from somebody else. Imagine that. So going forward, everything the doctor does is because of what the doctor did to the timeless child. So the doctor, he, she, or however the doctor identifies as in the future, will be on this redemption arc. The doctor will never be able to forgive themselves for doing this. And so I think this is interesting. And I think if this is the way Chibnall's going with it, I think this could be a very, very powerful resolution. This has been the Doctor Who Daily. I'm Mick, your host with the most. Just ask your girlfriends and your wives. Like, share, subscribe, comment down below, and hit the notification bell so you never miss this perfection. And I'll be back again tomorrow with even more Doctor Who Daily. Until then, goodbye.